This is lesson 31 for Mrs. Boyle's math class part 2. So we're going to pick up where we left off with example number 4 using cross products. So we have x over 24 equals 3 over 4. So we're going to multiply 3 times 24 and set that equal to 4 times x, which we would write as 4x. And 3 times 24 is 72. Equals 4x, and then we just need to solve for x by dividing by 4. And that will cancel there, and we'll have x equals 72 divided by 4, which is 18. And our next example, we have 8 times 15 equals x plus 1, and I'm going to write this in parentheses because it's this whole thing times 30. And the first step for this one is going to be to distribute the 30 to everything in parentheses. So 30 times x and 30 times positive 1, which would be plus 30. And on the other side, 8 times 15 equals 120. And now we can solve. So we would subtract 30 on each side, use inverse operations to get 90 equals 30x. I'm running out of space here. And then we would divide by 30, which is the inverse operation. And cancel out the 30s and have x equals 90 divided by 30, which is 3. And that's the final answer there. Moving on to example number 5. Now we have a ratio of pencils to erasers, 1 to 2. So in our ratio, we have pencils to erasers, 1 to 2. There are 24 pencils and erasers in all. Key word here being in all. So we need a total for how many pencils and erasers we have in our original ratio. So our total pencils and erasers is 1 plus 2, which is 3. So in the ratio that we're going to use to figure this problem out, we're going to use pencils to the total or erasers to the total. We have to pick one to do first. So we'll just start with pencils. So the ratio of pencils to total would be 1 to 3. So out of 3 items, one of them would be a pencil and 2 would be erasers. So we have 24 pencils and erasers in all. So 24 would be our total, and we have to figure out how many of those 24 would be pencils. So we can use cross products. 24 times 1 is 24, and 3 times x would be 3x. Then we can just divide by 3, and we would have x equals 8. And x was representing pencils. So we have 8 pencils out of 24 items. And to figure out how many erasers there would be, we would just do 24 minus 8. And there would be 16 erasers. So 16 plus 8 is 24 to check our work. And also going back to our original equation here, we could fill in 8 over 16 and make sure it fits with the original ratio of 1/2, which it does. Okay, moving on to example number 6. A scale on a map is equal to the ratio 1 centimeter to 3 kilometers. I always like to write it as a fraction. If a distance on the map is 4.5 centimeters, what is the actual distance? So if we plug this in and put 4.5 centimeters on the top, and we're looking for the actual distance in kilometers. So we can cross multiply 3 times 4.5 is equal to x times 1, which is just x. So we just need to multiply 3 times 4.5, excuse me, and that equals, oh, I'm sorry, this is supposed to be 30. I'm looking back and this isn't making sense. This 1 centimeter to 30 kilometers, that makes a lot more sense. So we have 30 times 4.5, and that equals 135. So we have to go back and see what unit we were looking for here, and we are looking for kilometers. So our final answer would be 135 kilometers. And the last example here, Susan ran 12 miles in 2 hours. So her speed would be 12 miles for 2 hours. While she was training for a marathon, if she runs at a constant speed, how long will it take her to complete a marathon that is 26.2 miles? So, what we need to do is convert this, or set up a ratio here. We know that the distance is going to be 26.2, and we need to know how long that's going to take her. So we can cross multiply again. 26.2 times 2 is going to be equal to 12x. And 26.2 equals 52.4 equals 12x. And then we divide by 12. And we have 4.37, actually it's 4.3666667, but we're just going to round to 4.37. And this is representing hours, so 4.37 hours. But we don't normally write hours as a decimal, so we need to figure out how many hours and minutes this is. So we would multiply 4 times 4.37, hours. And we need to find out how many minutes it is, so we'll multiply by a unit ratio. 1 hour is 60 minutes. So if we multiply 60 times 4.37, it's approximately 262 minutes. And we know that this is 4 complete hours, so we can multiply 4 times 60. That equals 240. So we can do 262 minus 240, and there's 22 minutes left in addition to that 4 hours. So our final answer is 4 hours and 22 minutes. And that's our last example for this lesson. Thank you for listening and taking notes.